You're visually engaged at every second of a Bay movie. And I feel like that's like a signature thing that he does exceptionally well, is create visual interest on screen at all times.
This podcast is brought to you by Mane & Steel, hair for life. Welcome to the Hero Shot Podcast, a cinematic podcast dedicated to action, adventure, and the unforgettable movies that define generations. Okay, and we're back. Our studio inspiration is coming from Michael Bay, who we're going to chat about today. I tried to get the warm teals, the warm oranges and the cool
the
teals.
orange teal, yeah.
Oranges and teals of Los Angeles specifically. What is it? The island, and then the warmth of the sun from Miami. So anyway, we're back. Michael Bay, one of our favorites. So we'll just start with, again, what we had chatted about earlier. Like, what's your favorite Michael Bay movie? And there's a little side note that it's not your favorite Michael Bay movie, but it's one of your favorite movies. So tell me again, which one?
Not even one of my favorite movies. I mean, this isn't going to be a Michael Bay circle jerk because, like, I am not a huge Michael Bay fan. I appreciate
it's an appreciation post.
It's an appreciation, sure. But like, as far as like my favorite Michael Bay movie, I'm just going to come out and say I don't have one. You know what I mean? I think all of his movies are kind of homogenized into like this, like just adrenaline fueled like fantasy that like I like to revisit every now and again. But I don't think I've actually seen any of his movies more than twice. So as far as like rewatchability for me, I'm not sure it's quite there. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'd say like the first Transformers, awesome. Second, Bad Boys, fantastic. And I love The Rock. The Rock's awesome. Love The Rock. So I'd say those are my probably top three. If I had to pick a favorite, maybe Transformers or Bad Boys 2. But again, I haven't seen these movies in like years, and I appreciate the man, but like I don't find his movies revisitable quite as much as some of my favorite directors. And I think that boils down to me, not iconic characters. I feel like there's not characters. I'd say Bad Boys maybe had some characters that like, I like Mike. Like I hang out with those dudes too. Like they're funny, like they're a good hang. But like for the most part, rewatchability for me is like, do I want to hang out with these people for the next 2 hours of my life? And I'm not sure Bay has captured that as well as he has these action set pieces that he's, really known for. So like, if I'm coming back to a movie, it's probably not going to be because of the action set piece, but that's just me personally. Do you feel similarly different?
Yeah, there's movies, I think, when I was younger that I was drawn to from pure action, like Bad Boys, Armageddon, like because he's launched, most people don't know, Michael Bay started doing in the late 80s and early 90s music videos and stuff. And what we kind of learned from that is you have to learn to shoot fast. You have to have some spectacle because you have 3 to 5 minutes of like, if you think back to, like the Aerosmith videos when they came out and other videos, you have only a few minutes to create a short movie. So I think he learned really quickly how to do that. And that's why a lot of us are drawn to his movies, maybe not so much the characters, but the entirety of the movie, right? So Armageddon comes out and it's just this really cool movie that it's not sci-fi, it's action, but it's like hard to place. What is this? This is a young boy action, want to grow up and do this. And then you have Bad Boys, which is an action cop movie, which is this pseudo Miami Vice movie. And I think I just like all of them because of, number one, the color, the tones. And he pulled from Tony Scott, Jerry Bruckheimer, Ridley Scott, all these big action sequences. And if you look at all of those like directors and producers as well, it's not really like they're known for creating one specific character. We pull characters from like Alien and stuff. It's these worlds that they create. Like you said, Bad Boys is a world, really. It's almost not real, but it is real. I think Bad Boys 2 is probably one of my favorite Michael Bay movies. Number 2 or 3, I love The Island because he makes people look so... Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson look incredible. And my inspiration for the studio
Scarlett
today
Johansson always looks incredible.
True,
Ewan McGregor
true.
does not. So the fact that he made Ewan McGregor look like a handsome movie
Well, he had to make Ewan McGregor, the age difference of them, look really young. And he does a good job because in their characters, they're 15 years old, in mind, right? The clones. But I really enjoy the color tones of that. Inspiring, like I said, the studio that I try to do with the teals and oranges. It's just, it really makes you want to like kind of stare at the screen for a little bit. And like you said, are they rewatchable? Not to like sit down on a Saturday afternoon and watch it all the way through. I love these movies like I love the old James Bond movies with Roger Moore to do my laundry if I'm folding laundry or cleaning something, it's great to have them on in the background because it looks nice. It's kind of comfortable and warm, and it makes you feel good. And he does a really good job for our appreciation of wide shots, action shots, and wide lenses where there's like really, the movement's really fast. If you look at Bad Boys, how many car chase sequences are there? How much running is there? And then he was really good at pulling, like slowing down characters and making them look really good. So I think Bad Boys 2, I like Bad Boys 2 better than Bad Boys 1. I think the plot of Bad Boys 1, I'm like, what's going on here? Bad Boys 2 is like almost like an epic journey because there's so many sequences and scenes that they have to go through. Like they're going in Miami, then they're down somewhere in like Cuba, and they're in the house. And it's probably the most comedic of all of his movies, which is why I think I also like it, because to match comedy with action is really freaking hard. It's so hard to do that and make you enjoy the entire movie. So those are two. Bad Boys 2, The Island, and I don't know, like The Rock is awesome.
So good.
I think that's a sequence where you give Michael Bay Sean Connery, and who knew that it would be awesome. And I like it because it's an edgier, it's Sean Connery being able to kind of like curse. It's not James Bond. He gets to curse in this movie, which is good. And he's kind of like,
honorary,
Yeah. And I think that's probably, it's hard. Do I mix them? Maybe they go in between 1, 2, and 3. So it really is an appreciation for the look that Michael Bay creates. And I think that's why so many people, when the movie comes on, we mentioned this before, exactly it's Michael Bay because of the colors, because of the shots, everything. The way he just shoots it's incredible to see these movies today compared to how crappy some action movies are. Like the joke now is Netflix makes really bad movies. It's not that they make bad movies. There's some great writing and some great shows. It's the shooting. It's the cameras. It's the lighting. It's like, this is a movie? They shot this with what? You look at Armageddon, you look at Bad Boys, the first one, they look like movies. So he knows how to make a movie look like a movie, right? And that's the greatest appreciation we have, is he keeps it to look like a movie. So I guess that's ranking our top 3 too. Ranking the top 3, that's, like we said, not really rewatchable, but when they're on, you kind of sit down and watch all of them. Because his epic movie, they're long ass movies. Bad Boys 2 is like 2.5 hours, I think, right? It's almost.
Yeah. Pearl Harbor's like 3 hours.
Oh my God, I know. Well,
the Transformers 2 is like so long.
Transformers 1, you mentioned that. I think the reason Transformers 1 did so well, which actually saved Paramount, the studios, if I had that in my notes, is Bay does a really good job of when he comes through in the clutch, right? Like that saved Paramount, because looking at my numbers here, I think it was $170 million to make, and it grossed like, oh my God, I have it right here. And then I got my little chart that I created. So Armageddon, 145, 53. Let's look at Bad Boys 2, The Island, Transformers. So budget, $150 million. Worldwide gross was $709 million.
Dang.
So that is like one of his biggest hits. So that saved Paramount with that ROI. And I think that's another reason. Sometimes you got to bring Michael Bay in to save, or maybe, I don't know if he's consulting. We don't know behind the scenes, but I'm sure he consults on some movies and say, hey, this isn't going to work. You have all this money and this looks like crap. So I'm sure they consult with him. At least I hope they do, because he does know how to make movies look really, really, really good.
Maybe the best. I mean, honestly, like if you just look at like a still image or like a sequence from any of his films, and like you think in your brain, like this is what an action blockbuster should look like. It's like, that's it, really. I mean, I think Nolan has kind of like created like his version of that, but I feel like Nolan's, it's less escapism and more realism. There's more grit to it. Like everything seems like it has, all the action feels like it has weight to it. Like if there's like a gravitas to it. It almost feels like an R-rated movie. There's a lot more grays and, like blues, like it's a colder movie. Like it feels a lot different than a Michael Bay movie.
Well, that's exactly the question I wanted to leeway into. Why Michael Bay doesn't feel like modern action directors, right? And the three we pull from, Christopher Nolan, Christopher McQuarrie, and Chad Stahelski, is like, these are directors that sort of have their own tone. With Nolan, like you said, his colors are kind of dark and
muted,
blue and cold. Yeah. They look
sterile
at him
almost.
Yeah, and then if you look at all the Mission Impossible movies, him working with Tom Cruise, every Mission Impossible movie has been a little bit different, except for the last, like number 7 and 8. I just did not like those. But, if you go from the very beginning of Mission Impossible to when McQuarrie comes in, it's very different. It is modern action, but there's not really a set color tone. It's just Tom Cruise on screen, right, with his supporting cast. It just looks like an action movie.
Well, I mean, John Woo has his signature style, you know, like in two, you know what I mean? There's lots of slow-mo and
I think that's the closest to a Michael Bay movie with Tom Cruise, to be honest. If you look at the shot, he does create, when they're in Sydney, it's warm, it's blue, it's wide angle. That is kind of like Michael Bay. Everyone hates Mission Impossible 2, but at the time, that's exactly what Michael Bay and Tom Cruise's action and John Woo together, they were battling against each other. So if you look at when, I remember I saw Mission Impossible 2, shout out to my guys from Wheeling Park who we played soccer. I remember we went up to Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, and we went into this theater, I think it was like on a Saturday afternoon, and we watched it just in the theater, like 16 of us by ourselves, and it was an awesome experience. But it's literally at the time, that's what action movies were. It was Michael Bay, it was John Woo, it was Tom Cruise with long hair. And John Woo made Tom Cruise look really good in that, just like Michael Bay was making everybody look really good in his movies. So that's probably the closest Mission Impossible that Michael Bay could do. And there's a question later I want to ask is like, what, you know, should Michael Bay try to work with some of these actors? Has Michael Bay worked with Tom Cruise? Has he worked with Brad Pitt? You know, there's some actors that I'd like to see him work with, or maybe not direct the whole movie, but maybe consult with and say, hey, what if we do this sequence? What if you did this? Or maybe more actors and directors should be pulling sequences from Michael Bay to say, hey, you know, we need to make these actors look really good against Miami or Los Angeles or New York. And that's like the appreciation you get from Michael Bay is he makes Bad Boys and every person in that movie look incredible against Miami. He makes everyone in Los Angeles look good against Los Angeles. And you and I touched on this. When you go to these locations, they're not always what they're cracked up to be. When they're filming, it's very different. Having lived in Los Angeles, I know what a lot of these places actually look like. We know what Miami looks like when people vacation there. It's not like you see on the movies. It's very different. But Michael Bay takes a wide angle screen or lens and just makes it look incredible. And he makes everybody glow, so to speak.
And there's such a flair for like iconic imagery too. There's so many like iconic moments that actors have in his movies where you're like, there's like the original Bad Boys, that shot where Will Smith is like running, you know, that chase scene.
The hero shot.
Exactly. He's got like he's got like that open, like that button up shirt that's just open. I guess like behind the scenes, like Michael Bay wanted to do that shirtless.
Yeah.
And like Will Smith thought it was a little hokey. And so he didn't want to do it. And then Bay's like, put on this shirt, run. And then he shows him the footage and he's like, dude, you're a movie star now.
That's what created him into, or transformed him into a movie star, leaving Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's what that shot, okay, he's not super ripped, but that's what turned him into a movie star.
Yeah, people saw him differently after that. And of course, like Megan Fox, you know, putting up the hood to the car, you know what I mean? It's like, there are like, he knows how to shoot his actors so they look their absolute best. And I'm sure a lot of that's getting them to glisten on screen. If you notice, like everyone's kind of sweating, you know, like everyone, like, you know, you can almost like smell and taste the actors, you know, like, and I feel like there's a visceral quality to it that he brings like so much life to the actors and how they look on screen.
Quick word from our sponsor, Mane & Steel. I started this company because of my own experience with hair loss. Mane & Steel is the first and only company in the U.S. offering dutasteride-only protocols, the most effective medication we have for stopping hair loss and helping regrowth. Whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, or you just want to keep your hair, Mane & Steel is built for long-term results. Trust me, it's a lot cheaper than spending thousands on hair transplants. Go to maneandsteel.com and use code HEROSHOT for 10% off your first 3-month subscription. Now, back to the show.
It's like he knows how to create emotion with light, right? Mm-hmm. What you're feeling in the scene or what the actor should be going through. I think a lot of his atmospheres, specifically Miami skyline, LA skyline, anytime there's a skyline, he's going to pull it in. Specifically in Bad Boys 2, it's even bigger, I think, because Bad Boys 1, the lenses weren't as wide, I don't think. It's a little more close shots and stuff. And then you get Bad Boys 2, and the shots are really wide. Even where Martin Lawrence's house is in Miami on the water, I'm like, man, he's a cop and he lives in this, like his home. It just looks, I'm like, I want to go hang out at his house because it looks so good. Everything just looks so good. So that's, I think,
if Michael Bay has the opportunity to make anything look sexy, he does, you know, including someone's house. Absolutely.
Well, if you think
any anatomic object, it's all sexy.
When I think Ridley Scott, one of the very first things as far as creating these big worlds, the scene that always pops in my head is Alien when they're in the ship and you see the little they're in their spacesuits and they're really tiny walking up through the ship. That's the first thing that I ever think of when I think of Ridley Scott and worlds, also Blade Runner and stuff. But you can clearly see there's a presence of Ridley Scott in Michael Bay's just like long shots and stuff. Miami, LA, like we said, he just knows how to pull those in. Not the same color tones, obviously. Bay's a little bit more warm and stuff, but there's definitely some sequences that he pulls and looks through there. And then Jerry Bruckheimer, producer, spectacle. That's all Michael Bay is. Just pure spectacle, not for the sense of being spectacle, but he knows that's what people want to see on screen. You don't go to a theater to watch boring action. It's really, and we know that when you go to a theater and a movie doesn't play well or it's just boring. I was thinking about this the other night. I watched Tron Ares and I was like, there's something missing here. It's two colors, the entire sequence. It's literally red and black. And even when they have time to make these epic wide shots, things still look condensed. I don't even know how to put it into terms, but I was thinking, what if Michael Bay had said, you know what, I'm going to take Tron Ares, I'll do it, and I'll make everyone look good. Nobody looks good in Tron Ares. None of the actors.
Who's in that movie? I don't even know. I didn't see it.
Jared Leto, obviously. I think Jared Leto.
Oh, yeah, that's why I didn't watch it.
I think he helped produce it, and there's a lot. I'm going to do a whole sequence on why this movie didn't work, and the actors, the choicing, the casting is just awful casting. But in particular, that's a movie where I think, you know what? Why not just give it to Michael Bay and say, I know this is a long shot, but what would you do for Tron? And a lot of people, I think Tron's great. Tron Legacy I thought was awesome. The plot wasn't that great, but this is a time when this movie doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense to me. The plot is boring. The acting it's so overacting, on screen. I hate to say that, but they're like masturbating on screen because they're overacting so much in certain sequences, or Jared Leto trying to be a computer program, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't come across that. And this is where, well, what if Michael Bay takes this? What flair how would he make red and black look really good? And I think he could make it look a little bit better. And it was so much red throughout the entire movie that I just felt like I had to turn away from watching it sometimes.
It's not a horror movie. I don't know why red and black is the color scheme you're aiming for.
When you're in the Tron universe, the red side is like the bad side, the blue side is the good side. But that's a movie that in particular, I would like to see Michael Bay put his flair on this, because it just sucked. So yeah, Jerry Bruckheimer, as far as production.
Back to the Jerry Bruckheimer thing, it's like, how much of Michael Bay's aesthetic does he owe to Bruckheimer?
Not even that. A lot, because of the money that Jerry Bruckheimer gave, basically created the blank check for Michael Bay in some of his movies, right? He helped him to be able to say, give me the budget that I need. I think in particular for like Transformers, because at the time it was 150, 170 million. That's a huge budget back then. Now people just go, 300 million. Well, that's nothing. But back then, 150 million, and it's probably because Jerry Bruckheimer said, just give him the money, let him do it. And for a movie that's not everyone's going to go see, it's still a great action movie, because as a child growing up playing with Transformers, to see it come to life for real blew my mind. And everyone looked good in that movie. Everybody looked good in that movie, even if you didn't know anything about Transformers. And if you're on a date with your girlfriend and you just go watch it, it's enjoyable. You're not bored. You're not like, oh, this is dumb. You're just like, wow, it's big action sequences.
So I feel like, with Jerry Bruckheimer, it's like he made like Con Air, which I thought was a Michael Bay movie, but it's like, it's a Jerry Bruckheimer production. I'm like, how much is it the Bruckheimer versus the Bay? I think Pirates of the Caribbean, like that other franchise, it's like, it looks so freaking good. And I feel like a lot of that's due to Bruckheimer. I know Gore Verbinski's a great director, but it's like none of his other movies look like Pirates does.
No. Which is
another,
that's another world in and of itself. Like Pirates of the Caribbean is its own mystical movie world that has its color tone, right? Yeah. We all know when you see it on screen from a distance, you're like, oh, that's one of the Pirates movies. How do we know that? Because we know just the way they do it. Same thing with Michael Bay. You're across the room, oh, that's the island. Or, oh, there's Armageddon. You know exactly who has directed this. And you can't see that. Sometimes a Nolan movie will come on, unless it's Batman. There's some movies that come on, I'm like, wait, is that, okay, Interstellar. Interstellar is even hard. Unless you are looking at the exact sequence, it is a Nolan movie that's, like you said, muted, and you can't immediately recognize it like you can a Michael Bay film, right? Across the room. If you can, you can see a Michael Bay film across the room. And some things, I think there's some distinctions here. Bay is not Spielberg. Spielberg has a lot of emotion with his action movies. Jurassic Park. He's not Nolan at all. Nolan is very historically accurate, but also very science-based. Michael Bay is like, screw science. If you look at the trend line, which I created, and I'll put the trend line here, it's interesting to see because he really is a director where if you don't give him a big enough budget, he doesn't produce a great return, right? So a large investment in Michael Bay creates a large return on investment versus some of the other movies, like we said. His biggest hits, Bad Boys, and I'll go through these real quick. Bad Boys, budget, 19 million, grossed 141 million. Incredible. The Rock, 75 million, which to take 75 million and make that movie look as good as it does blows my mind. Worldwide gross, 335 million. Armageddon, 140 million. Now we're bumping up here. 53 million return. Pearl Harbor, 140 million. Not one of the greatest that we like, but 449 million return. Bad Boys 2, 130 million, and this is what's weird, 273 million return, which is really odd because I think it made more money outside of the theater than it did in the theater, right? Because a lot of DVDs were hitting huge then. The Island, and this is weird because I like the look of The Island. The plot's not that great at the end. 126 million, return 162 million. So that's a big loss. Then Paramount is in trouble, and we got Transformers, 150 million, which you would think would cost way more for all the CGI. Worldwide gross 709 million. So that saved Paramount. Michael Bay literally helped save them with that return. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, 200 million, 836 million return. Transformers Dark of the Moon, 195 million, 1.12 billion worldwide. And Pain and Gain, and here we go. Here's the trend line dropping. Here's our ebb and flow going. Pain and Gain, 26 million, $87 million return, which is not bad. That's proof that he can take a little movie with some decent actors and pull a return, but not one of his greatest. Age of Extinction, Transformers again, 210 million, $1.1 billion return. Incredible. Dang. 13 Hours, 50 million, gross 69 million. Not good. Oh. Last Night, 217 million, worldwide gross, 605 million. Six Underground, Netflix, 150 million. We don't know because Netflix doesn't produce or show us those results. Ambulance.
That was $150 million for that movie? Dang, dude. I didn't even see it. I don't know anyone who saw it.
It's inflation, man. Inflation it has to be inflation of just everything. Inflation was horrible then. It's horrible now. Ambulance, 40 million, returns like 52 million. And now I don't think that's an inflation thing. I just think it's just one of those things where it looks good. Jake Gyllenhaal looks good, but the movie going into it, people didn't know. They're like, what? So he's in an ambulance? I think it just didn't take because number one, marketing, not that great, and not really understanding the plot. So I think the takeaway is if you don't give Bay a big enough production budget to produce a Michael Bay film, you're not going to get the return you want. So
yeah, no, I think that's valid. That's like really interesting. I think another observation is what does Bay do with and without Bruckheimer? So I pulled up his notable movies with Bruckheimer, and they're most of his iconic ones. So outside of the Transformers series, which Bruckheimer had no part of, you have Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor. Like these are some of his iconic movies. No Bruckheimer, Transformers, like we mentioned, The Island, which you really like, and then a bunch of other movies. So I'm just kind of curious, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, his comfortable range, if we were going off stats and numbers financially here, is his range, if you give him 130 million or 200 million, that's where he's going to produce a better return, right? If you give him something below that, he doesn't have the budget to work with, I don't work in film, but whatever they need to produce that much, which I think a lot of it has to do.
There's The Island and Six Underground, which both had budgets that didn't quite deliver on the return. And I'm wondering if there's something about the project, you know what I mean? Like Bruckheimer picks his projects very carefully. And I think there's a story component maybe that Michael Bay is like lacking in choosing a project where he's understanding like what is actually gonna what's gonna land with the pulse of the public, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not sure, just something to think about.
I think if you took a plot like The Island, where today the world is a vanity-driven world. The Island is all about cloning people to make you live longer and look better, right? So if you brought that today and have Michael Bay do it again, but bring it down into a more relatable type of, he makes it look good, like, oh yeah, the whole thing is taking place within the clone world. All these people are getting cloned, so we don't see the outside world as much. A little bit into the future, we know that, making LA a little bit sort of pseudo-future. I forget what the timeline is, but it looks good. But if you brought that...
I don't know if that movie's supposed to be sexy, though. You know what I mean? Like, it should be Black Mirror-y more than.
That's what I'm saying. So what if we bring that to today and we get rid of the spectacle blockbuster of like, ooh, everything's great at the end. The clones have escaped. Okay, so now the clones escaped and there's all these people that look like each other. So you and me, let's say, you know, I have a rare cancer and I have to get a clone to help me with stem cells. And then you have like a liver disease or something. And so now your clone's out there hanging around. Like what? Like, so the end of it is, so this is like a what if movie. So what happens to all these people that were cloned and they're actually 15-year-old brains and they're adults roaming around and you see yourself, you're like, what the hell, that guy looks like me. Holy shit, it is me. So what if we took that plot today where people are cloning themselves? I think that movie could fare well. The Island could fare well today if Michael Bay had the budget to redo it. And kind of like you said, do it a little bit darker. But how does Michael Bay make a dark movie? Because everything looks so...
that's fits his sensibilities.
So then who do we give it to? Do we give it to Nolan? Do we give it to someone else? And which also leads to another question, and this was a big question that I had. So think of a movie that you wanted to like but didn't turn out well. What is one or two or three movies or any movies that you thought could be good but they didn't turn out good? And what if Michael Bay directed them? And I just thought about this the other night and I was like, damn, what the hell would I want Michael Bay to direct? So what is a movie you could think of, modern or previous or 80s, 90s? What's one movie you would want Michael Bay to take over? And if he had directed it, do you think it would be better?
I think I don't know if I have a particular movie, but I think I would like to see him like direct a Godzilla movie. I think there's something about this scale. Like Michael Bay directs scale exceptionally well. Obviously, we've seen that with the Transformers movies. And like the scale of Godzilla attacking a city with like a Michael Bay polish, you know, like it might be kind of fun. I'd say either that or maybe like one of the Jurassic World sequels. I mean, a lot of those have kind of like, I mean, they have a big budget though. And there's these big monsters and his orange and teal aesthetic would work really well on these islands. He could make these movie stars look incredible. So I think maybe either a Godzilla movie or any of these Jurassic Park movies, I think he would excel at.
It was interesting you say that because Scarlett Johansson was most recently in the last Jurassic Park movie. The ones I was thinking the other night is, so we chatted about this a little bit with Joseph Kosinski in our favorite movies. Joseph Kosinski did a good job with Total Recall, the remake. I would have liked to have seen Michael Bay do that. And make it's very muted when you look at it. It's very sci-fi, very gray, and very, what's the word I want to look for? I don't know, but very clean and gray. Now, if Michael Bay took that, what type of world would he create? You know, what would it really look like? That's one. Another one I was thinking, I kind of mentioned, what if he took Tron Ares and did that one? So that's another one. And then recently I had rewatched Tenet, which is, you know, Nolan gets panned a lot for this because it just doesn't make sense now. But what if we added some color and maybe fixed characterization and plot? And Michael Bay came in and said, we have to literally tell people what's happening. Let's show them and tell them, this is what's happening in this movie. They're going to space and they're saving the planet. You know, like in Armageddon, he's literally telling you what they're doing and showing you them doing that. Versus Tenet, we don't really know what's happening. We can't understand the plot. So it's a weird mystique that we don't understand, which is why it didn't work well. So now what if Michael Bay comes in and says, no, we're literally going to show people what's happening, tell them what's happening, and we're going to make everybody look really, really good. Because that movie could have worked, but there's so much damn science that we don't understand in there, unless you have a physics background, that it just goes over your head. So those are a couple movies, and I'm trying to think if there's any that I could think of. I would like to see like him do, what if he did something like F1? What if he did something like a Top Gun movie? What if they gave him, all right, you're doing a futuristic fighter jet movie?
He would murder a racing movie. Are you kidding me? Every single car chase movie in a Bay universe is absolutely incredible. What I would actually like to see him do is take over F1. Let's do F1 the sequel. Brad Pitt's doing the Baja 1000. Are you freaking kidding me? Sun-drenched Brad Pitt in fucking Baja, Mexico, just redlining it with Michael Bay at the helm. There'd be like the sexiest Latinas in that movie. Let's go. Let's go.
What is it that you like in particular about him that you would be able to edit or work with? Is it because he does wide shots? Is it because the colors that gives you a lot more information, you know what I mean, to work with? What is it from an editing standpoint that works really, really well?
Yeah, I think what stands out the most to me is how there's movement in every single shot. The camera's almost always moving, or the characters are moving, usually both. You know, there's almost never going to be a static camera and a still actor on screen ever. Like, and there's always movement in the backgrounds. You know what I mean? So it's like if the characters aren't moving, the camera's not moving, there's a plane going overhead. There's some movement happening that's gonna like, I don't know, if like distract you or at least like give you some visual interest in every single frame.
So it keeps your eyes on the frame. I never thought about that. I now thinking of his movies. You're right. So it kind
you
of
don't
keeps
have a chance to be bored. Like you're visually engaged at every second of a Bay movie. And I feel like that's like a signature thing that he does exceptionally well, is create visual interest on screen at all times.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. There is movement all the time.
Also, like he doesn't like hold a shot for very long. It's like it's always cutting to the next thing. Like it's almost has a frenetic energy. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like he's never just holding the camera and letting anything breathe. He doesn't let the audience breathe. It doesn't even matter even if he's not shooting an action sequence, all over the place. You know what I mean? The camera's over here, it's cutting here, camera's moving. Like it's frenetic, but like not in a bad way. It's his style. His visual language is movement.
Well, and I was thinking about the Bad Boys, the first one versus Bad Boys 2. There is a lot more. It is darker. Like at night, the night sequences are darker, and there's a lot more slow-mo. There's barely any slow-mo in Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 1, lots of slow-mo of Mike running and a lot of sequences where it slows down a bit, which makes it look good. But I think he kind of pulled away from that with Armageddon. I don't think there's much slow-mo. There's a lot of hard, fast stuff. And then Bad Boys 2, there's some, but I love Bad Boys 2 from, I guess, an editing standpoint, because the sequences work really well, but you really are trying to pay attention. You know the scene where like downtown and they're like going after the Rastafarian guys? It's such a hard sequence to shoot, I think, but like you're trying so hard to watch it that it keeps you engaged. And I guess that's what you said, the frenetic energy, it makes you not want to pull your head away from the screen.
Yeah, you can't look away.
My buddy Joe, I'll shout out to Joe here. He always says this: if there's a movie where you can't look away from the screen, that's a great movie. And Bad Boys, for what it is, it's a movie where you don't want to look away from the screen for three things: the way he shoots it, the actors look incredible, and you want to see what's going to happen. Like you want to see the end of the sequence, or if there's going to be a big explosion or something. So that's, I think, an iconic thing that he does, is he makes you stare at the screen for a long time. So I guess the other question I would have is, you kind of answered this, like what genre would you want to see Michael Bay tackle? And you said, he hasn't really done a hard sci-fi. He hasn't done something where he's on another planet or another world. He's always on planet Earth, making planet Earth, congratulations, look really, really good, but he's never been in another world.
Let me reframe the question a little bit for you. It's like, if you had $100 million, let's bump it up. Let's say 150 mil for a new movie and Michael Bay is going to direct it. Like, what movie are you giving him?
I'm giving him a movie that he works with Elon Musk, and it's going to be, we've been living on Mars for...
You're going sci-fi. Interesting.
Yeah, because it's red. He likes the color red. We're going to Mars. We're 50 years into living on Mars. There has been some nuclear war, pseudo-nuclear war on planet Earth. I want to see some actors that he hasn't worked with in this movie, or maybe some actors who haven't done anything in a while. I love to see actors with a comeback. I love to see that. So I'd like to see some actors who have kind of been down and out in this movie and him bring them back to life, because we like that. And so we're seeing a couple things. We're seeing Michael Bay go into hard sci-fi. We're giving him his iconic red, orange stuff because we've seen how The Martian worked, which was a great movie. And then I want to see him work with actors he's never worked with before. Like, I think Brad Pitt is a great actor. I think Tom Cruise is a great actor that he's never worked with, or some other female. I mean, I don't know what female actors I would want him to work with, but because I'm a guy, I would like to see something like that. Give him the iconic nature of the colors, but then make him have to consult with people, which could work and could not work, because, whoever you work with, sometimes people don't work well together. So I don't know, but that's what I would want. I would want hard sci-fi, and how does he make it spectacle, but also hold the physics of the actual science to living and working and getting to Mars. That's what I would do.
Interesting. If I had $100 million, I don't think I'm trusting Bay with sci-fi, because I'd never seen it before. That sounds like, I don't know. I'm not doing that. But I do love my F1 sequel idea.
I think that would be, I want the F1 sequel. And it's like, hey, Joseph Kosinski, take some inspiration, because I mentioned this before in our chat, and I'll try to post this, how a lot of people didn't like the color grading of F1. And the more I watch it, the more I kind of agree with them. There are some stuff I'm like, it is a little dark. There is not a special. I love the car color.
Don't you think like Michael Bay could make Baja look fucking awesome.
Also, we put Brad Pitt on a surfboard because if you look at his Ford Astro van, I want to see him surf. There's a surfboard on there, so I want to see him surf.
Plus, like, you could get a lot of like comedic moments. We'll get like a Luis Guzman character in there. It'd be a good idea. That'd be a movie I'd absolutely go see. Is Michael Bay?
There'd be some comedy in there. There would definitely be some comedy.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Is there still room for unapologetic blockbuster directors? Or are we so toned down? Are we so kept in this, everything has to fit, check the boxes that we can't go out of the bounds of that? Or do you think we need that? Do we need 2026, 2027, the next 3 years? Do we need Michael Bay to hit us with something and slap us across the face?
I mean, sure. Like, I'll take it. Like, there's very few Michael Bay movies that I'm going to be rushing to go see in 2026. Like, it would need to be the right kind of movie. Like, I don't think that I think Marvel and Star Wars and, these franchises, King Kongs, like all these movies that are kind of taking up the space of where Michael Bay might make a movie in the modern era, a big budget movie. Like, I haven't liked any of that, so it's like, I don't know. Maybe Bay's lost his fastball. Maybe there's not a story idea out there that like he's gravitating towards. But I don't know. In 2026, I don't see the landscape as being one where Michael Bay is going to flourish with a $200 million budget.
Too much controversy, maybe, as we still go into 2026. Or not controversy, just maybe people don't want the spectacle. Maybe they want Marvel again. They want they're the standard, right?
I mean, I think we're getting to a point where I think there's too much of it. Like, it's saturated. I think people are growing a little tired of these big budget superhero movies. So, I mean, I think something else needs to happen, but I hope it moves into more auteurs getting bigger budgets than the Michael Bays of the world, for me personally.
So I'll let you take it. I'll let you end this. What's one movie, if you've been looking or tracking movies, what's one movie you're interested to see come into 2026? Maybe this summer or Christmas? Any movies in particular
definitely
that you look forward to?
Nolan's Odyssey is something that I'm super stoked for, as well as Dune Messiah, the latest one. Like, that one I'm super interested in too. Those two movies are going to have the spectacle. They have the auteur director. Yep. They have the cast. They got everything. They got the budget. Yeah, I'm really excited for both of those.
Yeah, I think that's good. And they're two polar opposites, right? They're the time frame. Super future and super past. So I think those are probably two of my favorite that I'm looking forward to. But I'm also looking forward to, what's coming in the coming years. 27, 28. Are we going to get, like you said, Formula One Part 2? Are we going to see Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt hit the screen again? That's something I really want to see. But this was awesome, man. I want to do this a lot more, which we will. Get your takes on editing, and hopefully the cameras will still...
I'll get it.
So we're gonna give you a Michael Bay background inspiration. I'm gonna send you some lights here, and we'll
get it all worked out.
But we'll keep working with this. So hope everyone enjoyed this. Michael Bay is awesome. He's much appreciated in my aspect of liking movies, and I know from an editor standpoint, you can definitely appreciate the color, the tones, the actors, and how everything looks good. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll do it again, just like Michael Bay. So later, bro.
All right, man. Peace.
This podcast is produced by Pod Punch Studios. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Hero Shot podcast. From explosive blockbusters to timeless classics, every great film has a hero shot, a moment that defines it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Until then, keep chasing your hero shot.